Welcome to Study Room KE. Welcome to Study Room KE, a platform where we demystify learning for you. If you're a student, you're a teacher, or you're a parent, this is the best platform for you to get educational content for revision as you prepare for the next exam. Remember to subscribe on our YouTube channel, Study Room KE, and get the videos as we upload them. Today we are going to have a new teacher taking us through the topic resources and economic activities, and in particular we are going to deal with coffee farming in Kenya and Ethiopia.
Our topic today is resources and economic activities, and here we are going to look at coffee growing in Kenya, conditions necessary for the growing of coffee, areas where coffee is grown in Kenya, areas where coffee is grown in Ethiopia, and finally the contribution of coffee growing in the two countries. In order for us to understand deeply this crop, coffee growing in Kenya and Ethiopia, which is under agriculture, we are going to look at it keenly in the next part of it. Coffee is grown in two major countries, that is Kenya on your left and Ethiopia on your right. Coffee growing in Kenya. Coffee is a major foreign exchange earner in Kenya. It is mainly grown in the Kenyan highlands. This crop was introduced in this country by the missionaries in 1893. It was first grown in Taita Taveta Hills. There are three varieties of coffee grown in Kenya. One, we have Arabica, which does well in the Kenyan highlands, and the highlands are cool and wet. Number two, we have Robusta, which does well in the lowlands, and we should remember that the lowlands, they are hot and wet. And finally, we have Viru 11, which is scientifically discovered and does well in all climate. It is grown on both small scale and large scale. In order for us to be able to grow these types of coffee, we have conditions that are necessary for the growing of these varieties. One, Arabica coffee. This type of coffee requires well-drained volcanic soils. At the same time, we need to have cool and wet climate, which is frost-free. It also requires high altitude between 1550 meters and 2200 meters above sea level. Finally, this variety of coffee requires high rainfall of about 1000 millimeters to 2000 millimeters. On the other hand, Robusta type of coffee also requires hot and wet type of climate. In other words, it is grown in the lowlands. It also requires well-drained soils, which are very important. We also need high altitude between 1000 meters to 1500 meters. Finally, rainfall is paramount, and it should be very high rainfall of about 1300 millimeters. Kenya as a country has got areas where coffee is grown. We have Meru, we also have Busia. Coffee is also grown in Trans Nzoia. It is also grown in Thika. We also have Kisii, Nyeri, and finally we have Kiambu. Ethiopia is another country in which coffee is grown, and here we are going to see that once again coffee is the leading export crop in Ethiopia, and in Ethiopia Arabica coffee is the main variety grown in this country. We have two main areas where coffee is grown in Ethiopia, and that is Kafar and Harar. It is grown on both large scale and small scale. In Ethiopia, coffee plant existed naturally as a natural vegetation. And what we need to understand deeply is that the main problem facing coffee growing in Ethiopia is lack of good transport, because Ethiopia is hilly. Coffee is a cash crop, and therefore it is grown to be sold to other countries, and therefore we have contributions which are brought by this plant to the economies of Kenya and Ethiopia. We have, number one, it is a source of foreign exchange to both countries. Coffee growing has led to the development of infrastructure, especially in areas where this crop is grown. It has also improved the living standards of the farmers. And finally, coffee growing has led to the development of other industries. Thank you very much for listening and following our learning activities. May you continue, because here you will acquire a lot of knowledge and you will improve in all your activities.